All right, so we're diving into RoleCatcher this time. You've been digging into this whole career platform thing. And, well, it looks like the fish cook path really hooked you, huh?
Seems like it, yeah. And for good reason. It's a fascinating field, especially now.
For sure. But it's not just about, loving seafood. So
Yeah.
let's fillet this career path, see what we find inside this RoleCatcher guide.
Okay, so I think the first thing that grabbed me about RoleCatcher is how they're like blending the old school career advice with all this new AI stuff. It's smart, especially now with how AI is changing the game, even for chefs.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like, they don't shy away from the tough parts in that fish cook guide. It's not all like sunshine and delicious smells, right?
It's a demanding gig, no question. Long hours, the heat. You got to be tough to thrive in that environment. It's about more than just passion, it's about stamina.
Okay, but speaking of passion, though,
Yeah.
the guide makes it clear there's so much more to being a fish cook than just, like, knowing how to grill a salmon.
Oh, absolutely. You're not just slapping fish on a grill. It's about understanding the different species, different cuts, mastering all sorts of cooking techniques, poaching, searing, even curing. You're sourcing the best ingredients, creating sauces. It's an art, really.
And it's an art that keeps evolving, huh? They even talk about how food storage, transportation, all that's changing the game for fish cooks.
Exactly. Imagine, like, having fresh, amazing quality fish flown in from all over the world. It's incredible. That kind of access opens up so many doors for chefs, lets them get really creative.
It's like having a global pantry. But all this expertise,
Yeah.
you need, well, expertise.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like RoleCatcher goes beyond your typical job site.
Yeah. They're not just about matching resumes. Those AI tools they've got, really impressive, especially the interview prep. That's huge.
Okay, yeah, let's get into that. We've all seen those generic interview prep sites. So what makes RoleCatcher's AI so different? What makes it special?
It's all about the personalization. Like, imagine you're applying to be a fish cook, right? And you get hit with a question about, say, sourcing sustainable seafood. You can't just wing it.
No way. You got
Mm.
to show them you know your stuff, that you're passionate. It's not just about saying, yeah, I care about the environment. You got to demonstrate that you get, the whole picture.
Right. And RoleCatcher's AI, it digs into your practice answers. It compares them to what actual hiring managers in the culinary world are looking for. It's like having a personal coach in your corner, prepping you, helping you craft the best possible answers.
That's got to be a game changer, especially in such a competitive field. I mean, even for seasoned fish cooks, that edge could make all the difference when you're trying to climb the ladder.
It's not just about getting a job, right? It's about finding the right fit, finding a place where your skills and your passion really matter. And speaking of climbing the ladder, that's something the guide doesn't sugarcoat. It's not going to be easy street to the top.
Not even close.
Mm.
They get real about the dedication it takes, the long hours, the constant learning. This isn't a career for the faint of heart.
And that's where RoleCatcher's whole approach to career progression stands out. They're not just giving you some generic roadmap. They give you insights from real-life fish cooks, people at all different stages of their careers sharing their stories.
Right, so you can see how their roles evolved, the challenges they faced, what it really took to get ahead. It's
Exactly.
like peering into a crystal ball, getting a glimpse into your own culinary future.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does feel like they've got your back.
Exactly. And for anyone, dreaming of those top chef positions, the Fish Cook Guide has some killer case studies. Like, there's this one senior fish cook. He really emphasizes building those relationships with suppliers, really getting the best, even rare seafood.
That's so smart, because it's not just about what happens in your kitchen, right?
Yeah.
It's about understanding the whole journey, from ocean to plate.
Totally. And that connection, that story, it matters more and more to diners now. Restaurants are looking for fish cooks who get it, the sustainability, the seasons, where it all comes from.
It's not just about having a killer recipe anymore, right? Like, oh, I make a mean pan-seared scallop. Now it's like, these scallops, hand-harvested, sustainable.
It's about respect, respect for the ingredients, how it's all done,
Right.
ultimately respect for the person eating it, their whole experience.
It's wild how this career path is like part artist, part, I don't know, fish scientist.
Right. And that's where those RoleCatcher AI tools come in again. Remember we talked about that video analysis
Wow,
thing?
yeah, like having your own personal interview producer.
Exactly. So picture this. You're practicing how you'd answer, tell me about a time you had to adapt a dish because the fish delivery wasn't right. The AI, it's not just checking what you say, but how you say it, if you're clear, your pacing, even body language.
It's not just what you know, it's how you show it.
Yeah.
Which, let's be real, can make or break you in an interview, especially in a high-stakes field like this.
Big time. And think about how much more confident you'd feel walking into that interview, knowing you've had that personalized feedback, that edge. You're not just prepped, you're polished, ready to wow them with that fish cook
And
passion.
like it's a difference between showing up to a cooking competition with a dull old knife or like a freaking laser sharp blade.
Yeah,
You're set up to win from the get-go.
exactly. And here's another cool thing about RoleCatcher. It's not just about helping you find them, it's about helping employers find you.
Wait, really? How does that work?
So employers can use RoleCatcher to hunt for candidates with really specific skills. So you've been putting in the work, right? Building your resume, acing those AI practice
Like the
sessions.
catch of the day for those fancy restaurants.
Right. Your RoleCatcher profile, it's not just a resume. It's like this living, breathing showcase of your talent, you know? So when
Yeah,
they're looking for a skilled, passionate fish cook, boom, there you are.
no kidding. Talk about turning the tables. Instead of us chasing them, they come to us.
Exactly. No more sending your resume into the black hole hoping for the best. And in a specialized field like fish cookery, that targeted approach, it makes all the difference.
Totally. You know, before we wrap up, I wanted to touch on something else from the guide that really stuck with me. They talked about globalization and how it's impacting, like, everything in the fish world.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. We've gone from like very seasonal local fish cookery to, I mean, chefs can get almost any species, anytime, from anywhere.
It's amazing. And the guide mentioned how that access, along with all the advancements in aquaculture, it's like fueling this whole new wave of creativity, you know?
Yeah.
Chefs are experimenting like crazy.
Oh, absolutely. There are no rules anymore. Chefs are blending cuisines, trying out new techniques. It's an exciting time to be a fish cook, pushing those boundaries.
Way beyond just grilling a piece of cod, that's for sure. But it also shows you how important it is to never stop learning in this field.
For sure. You got to stay curious. New trends, different species of fish, techniques. A good fish cook is always evolving, always learning. That's something they hammer home in the guide, and I think it's so true.
And that's really where a platform like RoleCatcher shines. It's not just about landing that first job. It's a companion, a resource all throughout your career.
Couldn't agree more. Giving people the tools, the knowledge, the connections. It's about setting them up to really thrive, you know?
Right.
Especially in a field as dynamic and rewarding as this one.
Well said. So, to sum up our deep dive into the world of the fish cook, it's demanding, no doubt. You need that passion, the drive, a real love for the craft. But with the right support, the right guidance, and, hey, maybe a little help from RoleCatcher, the possibilities are endless.
Now, that's a tasty thought.
It really is. So to our listeners, if you're hearing that sizzle in the pan, smelling those fresh herbs, maybe it's time to take a chance. You never know what amazing dishes you might create.